Okay. Good evening. I'm calling to order the Wilmington Board of Appeals. Agenda is docketed October 14th, 2020 at 7 p.m. It's now 7:04. I have just been advised within the last 5 minutes that WCTV will not be joining us. That is a development that I had just been made aware of. However, I do understand that the agenda with the dial-in instructions along with a Zoom meeting information was provided and publicly posted. I've instructed Kelly Maltesta to inquire with WCTV to see if they intend on further broadcasting these meetings or not. I believe that they should be, and if they're not, then we're going to have to reconsider our decision on holding these via Zoom, because I think that it's having a chilling effect on public participation, even though the agenda does post the information that would allow folks to call in or Zoom in tonight. So I just want to make that clear. I will read the agenda predicate information that I usually do. I'm going to excise the portion regarding WCTV since they're not available. But pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law under General Law 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, members of the public who wish to watch and listen to the meeting may do so in the following manner. The only way they could do it, since no public is permitted to be in person attendance tonight, would be to access the agenda, which was publicly posted. And on that agenda, it's listed that members of the public who would like to listen to the meeting in progress may do so via telephone by dialing 1-646-558-8256 and enter the meeting ID 813-2068-2378. Then press pound, and then press pound again at the next voice prompt. Members of the public attending this meeting virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portion of the meeting designated for public comment by following the steps previously noted, then press *9 on their telephone keypad. This will notify the meeting host that the caller wishes to speak. All callers using this feature will be placed in queue in the order they entered the prompt. In the event that despite our best efforts, we are not able to provide for real-time access, we will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as we are able. I have been informed that the meeting is being recorded, and I want to note again for the record that, Kelly, I want you to reach out to WCTV to get confirmation whether they're going to be continuing to broadcast these meetings or not. And if they are not, I'm going to need to be seasonably advised of that prior to the next meeting, since I believe we're going to have to reconsider the group decision to continue Zoom meetings if there's not going to be any way for the public to easily, although they can, there is a way for them to do it. It's not as easily and straightforward as I think that they deserve. So having said that, we have one docketed matter. It's case 1920. Gibraltar Pools and Spas is the applicant. The location is 15 Winston Avenue, map 8, parcel 91A, and they are seeking to acquire a variance for a pool. And I do believe we have the applicant on the line. And who do we have?
I am here. I'm Peter DeBernardo from Gibraltar Pools.
Hi, Peter. Welcome to the meeting.
Thank you.
What I'll do is I'll ask you to set forth what you're asking for and the reasons behind it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the meeting for the board to make any comment or ask any questions. I will then go to public comment. I'll give a little longer time than I usually do, considering the snafu with the televised nature of the meeting or non-televised nature of the meeting, and then we'll come back to the board to deliberate on the matter. Do you have any questions before we begin?
No.
Okay, fire away.
So we are asking for permission to be 30 feet from the street instead of the required 40. And the reason being is we've already received a variance for this above ground pool from the Conservation Commission. We have to be a certain amount of feet from the bordering vegetated wetland. So the homeowner has paid to have the yard surveyed by a wetland scientist. Then we've had the yard surveyed for this variance. And unfortunately, it brings us where we need the commission's assistance to help us with this. It is going in a side yard, sort of. It turns out this is a corner lot. It's got kind of a minor street that we would like to be, that abuts the side that we're installing the pool. There's nobody next to them on this street, the side street, and it's also screened by very large mature trees, a whole wall of them. So we're hoping for the lenity of the board to allow these people to put in this above ground pool. We've been working since June on this, so.
Let me ask you, I'm reading through your application or your narrative. What's the stated hardship for the variance? As you've probably been told, in order to obtain a variance, there's a stricter standard, and we have to be provided with a hardship, or at least a demonstrated claim of a hardship. What's the hardship that you have in this particular case?
Well, the hardship is that there really is no other place to sensibly place the pool. So, it's the reasonable enjoyment, the doctrine that's been used a lot of times, and they're kind of, homeowner, if possible, as long as it doesn't detract from the character of the neighborhood or affect any of the neighbors in any substantial way. Most people are entitled to some degree to the reasonable enjoyment of their property. These folks have grandkids that they're very interested in having visit them. It's a, nobody requires a pool, but it's something that would be a great improvement in their lives, and that's why we want to apply for the variance.
Now, you stated that the hardship is there's no other way they could place it on the property. Is the reason that there's no other way or no other place to put it on the property related to either the topography or the soil conditions or the shape of the lot?
The shape of the lot, yes, and the wetlands is a huge wetland that takes up the preponderance of the property. So the whole area behind the house can't go behind the house because we'd be kind of encroaching on the wetland itself. It can only go in this is a big open grassy area of the yard. If you were there, it kind of is the only sensible spot, and can't really go to the right of the house. There's not a lot of room over there. Plus there's the memorial, permanent stone memorial to my homeowner's son, who was a public safety officer who was killed tragically in the line of duty, and Sean Collier, he was the MIT policeman that was killed by the Boston bombers. And so there's really no other place for it to go.
Well, the memorial, obviously with all due respect, the memorial was placed by the homeowners. So I guess you're stating that the hardship is the existence of excessive wetlands on the property?
That is definitely the main thing. And even if the memorial were not there, it would be kind of an awkward fit to the right of the driveway. This is the let's say the obvious choice for where it can go because of the wetlands, and we need the variance because most times we wouldn't need it, but there's a pretty big 40-foot front setback, and turns out they're kind of on a corner lot, and so they have to comply with 2 street setbacks. And that's why we're asking for the variance.
Okay. Any other members of the board wish to be heard?
I just have a comment or a question. If you have you looked at taking and placing, instead of a rectangular pool, have you explored placing a round pool more in line with the house, closer to the existing deck, that would still maintain the 25-foot setback off the wetlands in the rear, but appears that it would meet the 40-foot setback off the street?
Well, a round pool a lot of times takes up more room than our pool. This is a 16-foot wide pool. Most round pools are 25, 21, 27-foot rounds. There is an 18-foot round. So ours is a 16-foot swim area. It's 16 feet wide. So I don't think that would be, I mean, unless you put a little 8-foot wide $200 temporary pool from Walmart, that's what you'd have. But a real pool would really, that wouldn't help, but that's a good question.
But I mean, have you explored the option of a 16 or 18-foot wide pool that would basically be, in a sense, almost right off the existing deck?
Have not explored that. We could move it closer to the deck to be sure. There's a staircase there, so I don't want to get too busy there. But no, I don't think there's a pool that would not require a variance from the board.
It's just petty bureaucrats.
Yeah, this place, these folks have a very large extended family.
Yes, was there a comment there?
From
Yeah,
Is it common?
someone made a comment about, I think it was petty bureaucrats. I don't know who that was.
that was not me.
Who else is on the line?
So that was from the caller.
From me?
No, from 508-423.
Yeah, don't give the number. Who else is on the line?
Hello?
Hi, who are we speaking with? Valerie, do we know who else is on the line? Is it the applicant?
I don't know who it is. I assumed it was the applicant because they signed on at the same time as I'm sorry, I don't remember your name.
My name is PJ DiBernardo
PJ.
from Gibraltar Pool.
PJ, were you expecting anyone else to join us? Either the applicant, Mr. or Mrs. Rogers?
I was not. I thought that I was handling it. I was going solo on this. Yeah.
Okay, we really should, I mean, it doesn't really matter, but if someone's going to make a comment, anybody can log in and listen, but if someone's going to make a comment, they really should identify themselves. So, I believe it was a male. Sir, do you wish to identify yourself? Was that an intentional comment or a mistaken comment? Okay, I'll take it. I'll take that it was a mistaken comment. Then we'll move on. Anybody else care to be heard on this?
Mr. Chairman, I'll just weigh in what my feelings are. I think the conservation area is definitely a problem by making this happen, and I don't see any problem. I mean, I'm in favor of it, and I'll tell you why. If you look at that wetland line, it curves in with that 25 feet setback. If you go a little further, it's like a bow, and if that was to carry straight across, you would definitely have enough area. But where those wetland flags are probably already flagged, that infringes on that area of the frontage from the street set back to the wetland line. So that's the reason why I have no problem with it, because basically it's the vegetation that's making this the hardship.
Do we know, PJ, do we know when that wetlands were delineated? When,
Yes,
you know,
I had them delineated by Bill Manuel of Wetlands Management in Danvers, and they are flagged, and they were delineated the middle of August. So I paid him August 17th, so it might have been the day before.
of this year?
Yes.
So before August 17th, there was no restriction for them to build over that side. Is that correct?
So we got a conservation approval. So there was, the restriction was, I applied for a building permit through Al, and then it makes the rounds in the office, and the conservation people wanted a variance. They said it was close. And the process is to have it flagged and do this. So I've put in my time on this one, so we got Bill.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily asking when the plot plan was developed, which appears to be in August 22nd is when it's certified.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, when those wetlands were officially, officially delineated on the lot.
All right, so I went to Danvers to Office of Wetlands and Land Management, Bill's office, and I have my notes here. So I dropped off the fee under his door that day, August 17th. Now, in answer to your question, I don't know the exact day he did that. However, I pay my bills immediately because this is how we have a good relationship in our field. So I pay right away. So my guess is that he called me probably on the 16th and told me he was done.
Okay.
But my best guess is August 16th. And if it were not that date, it would be within 2 to 3 days ahead of time.
Okay.
I emailed him the data on the 11th, Bill Manuel. So between the 11th and the 16th, the flagging was done.
Okay. And anybody else on the board wish to be heard?
So may I please, so why isn't, why not put the pool on the back of the house?
Too close to the wetlands. You have to be 25 feet from the edge of the bordering vegetated wetlands. So the Conservation Commission would not allow the pool anywhere behind the house. It would have to go where it goes.
Even if the way, so there's still no room because the way that it bows out?
Yes. Well, the way it bows out would be beneficial, but it doesn't bow out enough. So that line there is the border of the wetland. So you'd only have probably, less than 10 feet between the house and the pool. And you'd never have the 25 feet barrier buffer between the pool and the wetlands. So if you did it that way, you'd have, even if you put a pool, any pool, up against the house touching it, you'd only have about a 10-foot area to put a pool, and that there's no pool really like that.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, if you wouldn't mind, could I just make a clarification for you all?
Sure.
Okay, so this is Valerie Gingrich. I'm the Director of Planning and Conservation. I wrote you guys a brief memo to the board just clarifying that for your information, the Conservation Commission was presented with an application that proposed a 25-foot setback for the pool from the wetlands. There's no bylaw or requirement that you have to be 25 feet from the wetlands. It is what the commission does like to see for a structure, for a setback, but they would have to entertain something that was proposed closer to the wetlands. And if that was proposed, they would look at any potential impacts to the wetlands and the functionality of what's proposed. So while they did approve a 25-foot distance from the wetlands, that's what was proposed, and they weren't presented with anything else. It was not a variance, it was just an approval of what was proposed. So I wanted to...
Valerie, I see the planning board's recommendation, and I'll read it into the record just to get it in. But I don't see a memo. Is that what you're referring to? Is the planning board's recommendation?
No, it was a memo from me to the board. I believe it's maybe the page after the planning board recommendation.
Let me pop it up. Hold on here.
Hopefully.
No, we just got the recommendation, and I'll read it into the record. It says, at their meeting on October 6, 2020, the planning board voted to recommend as follows on this particular case. It was unanimously, upon motion duly made and seconded, unanimously recommended that the pool be relocated closer to the deck to increase the front setback. The board recommends that a smaller pool be considered. The applicant does not appear to have shown a hardship. Now, that's the only thing that I have. I don't know.
I've never received that.
But as far as a memo, Valerie, maybe it just didn't get to us, but I didn't see it.
Sent over the memo on the same day.
Okay, maybe.
Two separate emails.
Okay, I'll have to go check then, because I don't have my email open. But okay, if you sent it, then I overlooked it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anybody else want to be heard on this?
Can I just clarify something with Valerie? So if I understand you correctly, Valerie, if the applicant came back with a proposal where the pool was maybe pushed closer to the house, maintained the 40-foot setback, and maybe the 25-foot setback off the vegetation went to 10 or 15, that's something that the Conservation Commission would at least consider and not necessarily just blanketly say is unacceptable.
That's right. They'd have to consider it. We don't have a local bylaw that that governs setbacks. So while it's their policy, they like to see a 25-foot setback for a structure, including a pool. You know, if they denied something for that reason alone, it wouldn't be good grounds for denial. So they would have to look at, you know, how it's functioning and if that pool is impacting the wetland. If it's set back, you know, 20 feet from the wetland, you know, that's something they would consider. They have to consider it, I guess. They do like to see a 15-foot no disturb zone along the wetlands. So, you know, I think there's space to push there. I just wanted to be clear that it's not a requirement.
But even if they gave the 10 feet, that would take it out of a variance situation, correct?
For our board, yep.
I mean, you know, obviously, if there's anybody else that wants to be heard, I'm going to allow it clearly, and as well as public comment. But if that's the case, PJ, you know, given the high standard on a variance, and you know, you really, you know, it's a tough row to hoe. Even if you have some members who, like myself, are debating whether the wetlands, you know, the wetlands that cuts through half of this guy's yard could constitute a hardship. It might be the easier route to go back to the drawing board, kick that over 10 feet closer to the wetlands and see if conservation will go for it.
Yeah, I would be willing to do that if that's the case. Valerie, is there any way you could do an agent's approval on something like that, or would I have to go to another hearing?
It would be a public hearing with the commission.
I mean, I'm assuming no one's going to be doing any swimming anytime soon.
No, but we will run out of season pretty soon, and you know, to be able to assemble the pool and the
I know a couple guys that can put up an above ground pool in a day.
Yeah, this has over 1,000 individual components. This is another matter. This is a 50-year pool. It's an above ground pool, but it's not what you think of the chintz factor of the round pool.
Right.
This is all tongue and groove steel construction, and it's.
Well,
you know.
I mean, my preference, if you're willing to do it, is to take that route rather than take a chance that it's denied. Because if it's denied, I don't believe you can come back for a couple of years. But obviously, that's going to be up to the applicant. And I don't know what the pleasure of the other board members is.
Yeah, and there's no way to poll the board now to see which way it'll go. No.
I mean, if you want to put it to a vote, or if the members wish to let you know what they're thinking, that's up to.
I don't want to put it to a vote if I can't come back for 2 years. My homeowner is important to me, and I.
You know what? If members of the board wish to show their hand without taking a formal vote, that's up to them.
I don't think that the applicant has exhausted all the options yet before his only option is a variance. That's my opinion.
I agree.
Well, there you go.
I agree with Tony on that.
What was that? I think, was that you, Tom?
Yeah, I agree with Tony on that.
I still didn't catch that, my friend.
Yeah, I agree with Tony on having him come back and giving us something more concrete and more acceptable to conservation and what their guidelines would be. I think there's been some new information added, so I think it's important to him to go back and get the information and get everything restructured again for our board.
All right, so there you go, PJ. You got 3 members that want you to avail yourself of my suggestion.
All right, I will do that then.
Can I just
Valerie-
make a remark on that? I mean, I wouldn't suspect that you would be coming back, because just on the fact that if you could go to conservation and they'll be willing to work with you, then I wouldn't think that you'd be coming back on that note.
Yeah, it's true. Valerie, may I ask one question of you, since we're all here? To do that, do I need to refile again, or would it just be, could I be placed on the agenda for the next conservation meeting?
You would need to refile. It would be a new application. And to be clear to the ZBA, to the board, I can't say what the commission will do, and what conclusion they'll come to. I'm just clarifying that the 25 feet is not a hard and fast requirement.
Valerie, couldn't it be resubmitted as an insignificant change that they want your review on, instead of a whole new application?
So what they filed previously was a request for determination of applicability. It's the simpler form that we have for conservation. It's not a very involved application, but no, it would have to go to the commission as during the public meeting.
So what I suggest is, why don't we continue this? How long would that process take, Valerie, for at least for this gentleman to get before the board? Would it be the next meeting?
The deadline for the next meeting is next Wednesday, so it's possible that he could get on to the November meeting.
It's cutting it close, though. I'll leave it. You know what, PJ, if you're inclined to request a continuance and you think you can get your ducks in order, then we'll kick it over to the next meeting, or if not, we'll kick it over to the December meeting. And if you're granted the relief you're looking for by way of a new application to the Conservation Commission, then you can just notify us that you're requesting that this particular petition be withdrawn.
Yes, please. And if we're denied by the Conservation Commission, I'd like to come back to the board with the same application we have today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not hiding any cards here. I mean, I don't grant variances lightly, but I do see a lot in front of me that looks like fully almost half of the lot is the wetlands. I mean, I think that could be considered a hardship, but I have to think about it. But yeah, so would you be looking for a 60-day continuance?
Well, I'm going to be at the next hearing for conservation in November, so.
You think you can get everything ready to be to file it by Wednesday?
100%. I'll probably get it filed tomorrow.
Okay. Well, then why don't we? Then I'll. First of all, I'm not going to open the public hearing, which actually is probably a good thing, because I'm not so sure the public is being adequately provided with information to comment. So I'm not going to open the public hearing because we're still not deliberating on this. So I'm going to. I will entertain any members' motion to continue this to our next regularly scheduled meeting, which I believe is on Wednesday, November 18th, 2020. That's after the conservation meeting, right, Valerie?
That's correct.
All right. Does anybody care to make that motion?
I'll make the motion to continue case 1920 to our next regularly scheduled meeting on Wednesday, November 18th.
At 7 p.m. Okay. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
All right. We have a second by Mr. Lepore. All those in favor, I'm going to go by roll call. Ms. Santini?
No.
Ms. Santini, can you hear me?
Yeah, no.
You don't want to do it. Okay. We have one no. Mr. Lepore?
Yes.
Mr. Barletta?
Yes.
Mr. Siracusa?
Yes.
Okay, and then I'm going to vote yes myself. So the matter is continued to our meeting on November 18th, 2020 at 7 p.m. If, PJ, if you get the relief that you're looking for, then I would just ask you the courtesy to let Kelly know that you're withdrawing the application, and then we'll vote to allow that withdrawal at our next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good luck. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, seeing that that was the only matter on our docket, then we'll go to the administrative matters that we have, which are the approval of a series of minutes, I believe 8 in number. And Ms. Malatesta, if you want to go through them sequentially, we can take them up. Has everybody had a chance to read those minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, Kelly, so why don't you fire away?
First one is from 5/13/20.
And Kelly, all the members were present at all of these meetings, correct?
All the minutes that we're approving tonight, yes.
Perfect. Okay. Do we have any motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
We have a motion by Ms. Santini. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Lepore. All those in favor, Ms. Santini,
Aye.
Mr. Lepore,
Yes.
Mr. Barletta,
Yes.
Mr. Siracusa,
Yes.
and myself, unanimous. Next,
Is 5/27/20.
do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Santini. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Second again by Mr. Lepore. Ms. Santini,
Yes.
Mr. Lepore,
Yes.
Mr. Barletta,
Yes.
Mr. Siracusa,
Yes.
and then myself, unanimous. Next,
Is June 10th,
we have a
2020.
motion.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Santini. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Lepore. Ms. Santini,
Yes.
Mr. Lepore,
Yes.
Mr. Barletta,
Yes.
Mr. Siracusa. Was that Tom? You cut out there.
Yes.
Yes, and then myself, unanimous. Next,
June 24th, 2020.
we have a motion.
So moved.
Ms. Santini moves. Ms. Second, Mr. Lepore second. Ms. Santini,
Yes.
Mr. Lepore,
Yes.
Mr. Barletta,
Yes.
Mr. Siracusa,
Yes.
and then myself, unanimous. Next,
July 22nd, 2020.
do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion to approve by Ms. Santini. Second,
Second.
second by Mr. Lepore. Ms. Santini,
Yes.
Mr. Lepore,
Yes.
Mr. Barletta,
Yes.
Mr. Siracusa,
Yes.
and then myself, yes, unanimous. Next,
Sorry, I took these two out of order, so now I have July 8th, 2020.
okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion to approve by Ms. Santini. Second,
Second.
Mr. Lepore seconds. Ms. Santini,
Yes.
Mr. Lepore,
Yes.
Mr. Barletta,
Yes.
Mr. Siracusa,
Yes.
and then myself, yes, unanimous. Next,
August 12th, 2020.
August 12th. Do we have was I at that meeting, Kelly?
For August, yes.
Okay, I was. Do we have a motion to approve?
Yes. Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Santini, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Lepore. Ms. Santini,
Yes.
Mr. Lepore,
Yes.
Mr. Barletta,
Yes.
Mr. Siracusa,
Yes.
and then myself, yes, unanimous. Any others?
The last one you were not at, Dan, is just
Okay.
from last month.
I knew I
And that-
wasn't at that one of them. So I'm going to abstain from this, but I will entertain a motion nonetheless.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Santini, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Lepore. Ms. Santini,
Yes.
Mr. Lepore,
Yes.
Mr. Barletta,
Yes.
Mr. Siracusa.
Yes.
Approved 4-0 with myself abstaining.
Mhm.
Anything
All
else?
done. All
Oh,
done.
wow. I think that might be some kind of record.
That was a lot.
Okay. Now I wanted, before we entertain a motion to adjourn, apparently there is a training, which I believe everybody should have gotten an email on. KP is doing a Zoom training on Thursday, October 22nd at 7 p.m. And it's regarding how to not just conduct a Zoom meeting, but all the attendant things there too, crafting decisions, how to handle public comment, etc. I'm going to try to make it at that if it doesn't conflict with anything for work. But I would invite any of the other board members If they're inclined to attend, let Valerie or Kelly know. Again, it's Thursday, October 22nd at 7 p.m. and it's going to be via Zoom. Okay? Kelly, do we have anything else that we need to discuss?
We do not.
Okay, the next meeting is going to be Wednesday, November 18th, 2020 at 7 p.m. It's the third Wednesday of next month because I believe the second Wednesday, was that a holiday?
Correct. It's Veterans Day.
Okay, so it would be Wednesday, the third Wednesday, November 18th, 2020 at 7 p.m. Now, I anticipate that I will hear prior to then, Kelly, whether WCTV intends on broadcasting our meeting. If they do not if they do not so intend to broadcast, then we're going to have to round the wagons and we're going to have to make some type of accommodation. Maybe if there's a member or any number of members that doesn't feel comfortable doing an in-person meeting, maybe they themselves can Zoom in. That's something that we can do, but I think we need to figure out what WCTV is going to do first. I'm not comfortable, relying on people reading an agenda to dial in. So that's just my feeling on it. So Kelly, if you can make that inquiry sooner rather than later, I would appreciate it.
Yep, I'll find out tomorrow.
Excellent. Unless there's anything else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Can I actually, I don't know, I know it's kind of personal or whatever, but, so my son and his wife, are having a baby. And so it might be that week. It's supposed to be the 27th, but, we're going to be on the fly. I don't know. And they live in Virginia. So
What I would suggest, Jackie, is obviously that takes precedence. If you feel that you're not going to be able to be at that meeting, let Kelly know as soon as possible.
okay.
Then she can reach out to the individual petitioners and let them know that they're going to be down a member. And, and then it'll be up to them whether they want to move forward or take their chances with the 4 members here. But I would just say, let Kelly know as soon as you know.
All right. And then maybe, I mean, I could do it from my phone. So you
know what? If WCTV plans on covering the meeting, then we can just do it Zoom and you can figure out a way to do it if you can.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then, you and any other member that may prefer to do it via Zoom, we'll have to talk to Mr. O'Neill and figure out a way that may be doable, but I would just suggest you let Kelly know as soon as possible.
Okay. Because you've got three. I hate to have 3 people, have to wait another month. So if just a heads up, I just wanted to let you know.
Hey, stuff happens, no problem. Okay, anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion by Ms. Santini. Do we have a second?
Second.
There you go. I was counting on you, Ray. We're going to go by roll call. Ms. Santini,
Yes.
Mr. Lepore,
Yes.
Mr. Barletta,
Yes.
Mr. Siracusa,
Yes.
and then I myself. So we'll see you all next month and stay safe and have a good month.
Thanks. You guys too. Be safe.
Thank you.
Yeah.